USL turns 10 this season, and we're ready to kick off week 1 here in St. Louis, presented by West Community Credit Union. We're at West Community Stadium for St. Louis FC and the first ever game in the USL Championship for the Miami FC. Along with Woldy Harris, I'm Spencer Siegel. Happy to have you along tonight. Woldy, these two sides ready to get going to start their seasons. For St. Louis, coming off of a disappointing end to the season last year, our electrical connection player to watch is Todd Wharton, and that's because they've got a couple of new additions.
Yeah, Todd Wharton bringing a lot of leadership to the St. Louis midfield from the Portland Timbers too, and I'm pretty sure they're going to rely on him going forward and can add a couple goals as well.
Val Fall also among those added. More Sam, both in the starting 11. On the other side for the Miami FC, we're talking about a team that has to pull a bunch of players together to get ready to compete at this level, coming over from the NPSL. And Romario Williams, the Jamaican, is the guy to do that at the top.
Well, if it's one guy you want up front to score goals, it's Romario Williams. He's done it so far at Charleston Battery, United, Atlanta United, and also at Columbus Crew, so they'll be relying on him to get some goals.
Well, it's going to be a long, fun season in the USL this year, and we've got just the first week for you. It's St. Louis, it's Miami, and it's happening right here on ESPN+. Kickoff on the other side. Don't go anywhere.
This year we developed Ale d'Or, which is a beer brewed exclusively for the St. Louis Football Club. We've been partners with STLC for coming up on 3 years now. St. Louis Football Club got some Schlafly, call out our Luligan friends on the side. You'll be able to find Ale d'Or obviously out at Soccer Park and then at your local grocery in and around St. Louis, so we're really excited to get it out there in the market. We're excited to debut it in 16-ounce cans for the upcoming season.
When you need quality electrical work for your home or business, look to theelectricalconnection.org. Created as a partnership between IBEW Local 1 electricians and the St. Louis chapter of the National Electrical Contractors Association, the Electrical Connection has been setting the standard for electrical excellence in St. Louis for over 100 years. You can depend on our highly skilled and trained workforce, your #1 source for quality electrical and communication contractors, electricalconnection.org.
Tonight's USL matchup is brought to you by West Community Credit Union. And as we get you ready for kickoff just around the corner here, we'll take a look at our lineups tonight, brought to you by Schlafly. First for St. Louis. Woldy, what do you see that jumps out to you?
Well, Coach Stritchu, 4-3-3. He loves this formation because it gives a lot of flexibility. Guys to watch, Kyle Gregg up front, definitely going to pose a problem for Miami's defense, and they're looking to get behind and looking to get in the box. Cicero, very quick on the outside, as well as Sam, so they've got their work cut out for them.
Yeah, a lot of new players coming over from other clubs as well, including Gagnon Laparé, Wharton, Sam, Fall, and now we take a look at Miami. We mentioned Romario Williams as well. Prince Sadie is a name that I think a lot of people don't know yet, but it's probably not going to take long for them to figure it out.
Yeah, speaking of Coach Nelson Vargas this weekend, he told us that Sadie could be dangerous on the outside, is very explosive and very quick down the line, so St. Louis is going to have to watch out for him. But, you know, in the back they have a lot of stability with Olam as well.
Olam Lloyd Sam, of course, spent several years in the Premier League, and we know about Sebastian Velasquez and what he can do in the MLS. These two sides about ready to kick it off as you get a look at St. Louis FC. They'll be wearing their home green and blue. And we didn't know exactly what to expect from the jerseys for Miami, but we'll have it for you in just a moment. And Wolde, your keys to the game here. Let's break down our defensive keys to the game, brought to you by Fortinet.
Well, for Miami, it's definitely transition. How quickly do they transition the defense and not allow the other team to get into a rhythm? And how quickly do they counter press? If they can't get things going, then make sure that they're disruptive and not allowing St. Louis to get into a rhythm. As far as St. Louis is concerned, they need to be compact. They need to make sure they win their 1v1 battles in the midfield and be very, very focused on restarts.
One of the things that Nelson Vargas spoke to us about was the ability for his team, as you alluded to, get out in transition. We don't want to hold the ball for too long, and that's because when you have a new team and you're coming up against higher levels of competition, you really want to take advantage of your opportunities when you have them.
Yes, for sure. He wants to get forward quickly, but he also wants to possess the ball. So he's going to look to move the ball around, move St. Louis around, and look for the opportunities to penetrate when they can.
Our referee tonight is John Freeman. It'll be Miami FC in the blue. Their first game in the USL Championship after participating in 2 separate leagues in the summer and fall of 2019. We are underway now in the 2020 USL Championship season between St. Louis and Miami.
Yeah, St. Louis going forward quickly, looking to put the pressure on, and that ball just shepherded out of bounds by Griffiths, I believe.
Brian Silvestre out of the back. We thought that there would be a lot of a feeling out process here. Quickly on the ball is Russell Cicerone. He'll have a crack at it. Silvestre knocks it down and falls on top of it. And the first chance of the game falls 30 seconds in.
Yeah, Cicerone not afraid to go from distance, testing Silvestre early out. The big man in goal, getting right behind it.
Around the corner for Lloyd Sam, who sends it down the right flank. Williams can't pluck it out. He does eventually get it to Velasquez, who loses it out of bounds.
Yeah, Williams trying to do a good job of holding up the ball there, but was double teamed, so very tough to repossess in that case.
Looking to move forward high up the pitch. That's Kyle Gregg, who can't handle it up top. And again, we had a feeling, based on the way these two teams are going into the season with varying degrees of expectation. When we talked to Nelson Vargas, he said that we expect to compete right away, and I think a lot of people around the league believe that as well.
Well, they're coming in with a lot of confidence, you know, winning a couple championships in the past couple of years will create that. But this is a new league for them, but they're coming in with confidence, and that's great. That's something that you got to have in order to be successful in the USL.
Off of the handball, this will create an opportunity out of the gate for St. Louis. The free kick in some dangerous territory. Gagnon Laparé and Wharton will stand over.
Interesting to see how Laparé approaches this, but obviously the height's on St. Louis's side, so dangerous opportunity for St. Louis.
Gagnon Laparé leaves it for Wharton, who curls it in. It's headed on and out for a corner.
Yeah, dangerous ball into the back post there by Wharton. Looking to get on the end of things. First corner of the match. As you can see, they're marking up in the middle of the box. Everybody's going to be jostling for position, so you can get on the end of this Todd Wharton cross.
Wharton whips it in. Cleared by Williams, and now Miami can run. Velasquez finds help. Sent down the left side. This is Prince Sadie who gets his cross in for Williams, and that's not too far off. The first chance of the night for Miami.
Yes, that's what Velasquez presents. He's very skillful on the ball, crafty, and Sadie doing what he does, getting down the line, and Romario Williams looking to get on the end of things. Decent start here from Miami, looking to get forward as quickly as possible. As I said, use those spaces and look to penetrate as quickly as possible.
Gagnon Laparé. Now Vol Fall on the ball, coming over from Ottawa, along with more Sam and Gagnon Laparé.
St. Louis not being afraid to play that ball over the top diagonally, and it's causing some problems for Miami.
Poor clearance effort, and it's knocked away by Silvestre. Cicerone has his second shot on target, but again, Silvestre stands tall.
Good defense there and making sure that the ball gets cleared. But again, St. Louis looking to penetrate quickly with the long ball.
Well, they've been working it up the left side, and this time it was a poor clearance effort, and that's one that you've got to put home early if you're St. Louis.
Yeah, definitely a good look at goal, but a great reaction save there from Silvestri from very close range. But next time, I'm pretty sure Cicerone will be a little bit more.
And a turnover. Back we come the other way, and Olam, for the moment, settles things down. Now Fall to the left side. Cicerone looking for help. Fall, Laparé on his left, cuts it back, and Silvestre there again.
Great positioning by Silvestre. St. Louis having a better run of play here, finding those little pockets of space to make those quick 2 to 3 yard passes and getting into the box rather easily.
Benton Griffiths from the back.
A little high foot there. Referee's right on top of it. Giving Miami a chance to catch their breath and settle down.
And from what we've seen, not just in the first 5 minutes tonight, but what it looks like based on the makeup of this Miami roster, the questions are not so much at the top and the bottom, but more so in the midfield.
Yes, that's where the questions are. I mean, they have to win the midfield. They have to stay compact and make sure that they don't allow penetrating passes in between.
Nice extra touch by Lloyd Sam, the Ghanaian born in Leeds, England. Velasquez, now Harrison Heath, back to Velasquez. Good ball movement by Miami. Lance Roseboom on the ball. Velasquez can't handle it. And Gagnon Laparé circulated back.
Yeah, St. Louis just using the opportunity to put their foot on the ball, get a little confidence going, move the ball around, and probe Miami a little bit.
Vargas talked about the fact that they would likely be the team that possessed the ball less tonight, but when they had the ball, they really wanted to make the best use of it. And that'll be out for a corner.
Actually, it looks like a foul was called on the outside.
Yep, that's John Freeman's decision.
Moore just being a little bit too physical on the outside. More Sam.
Nelson Vargas talked about the Miami FC way and how that's carried over a team that's won 9 trophies in 3 years, Wolde, and now the competition level has been ratcheted up.
Yeah, definitely. It'll be interesting to see if they can implement their style of play quickly with a team that is as physical and as experienced as St. Louis. So they're just working their way and probing and seeing if they can implement the way they want to play on a field that they're not used to, away from home, and even the temperature might be a little bit different from Miami.
Asked about starting on the road, and Vargas said it's really just a matter of perspective. It changes whether or not you're at home or on the road, but for them, this is just another game of football. They'll have their home opener at Ricardo Silva Stadium next week. Here's Fall.
Fall's an experienced player. He's been in the USL. He knows what to do. He knows the competition, and he's just looking to settle down the midfield for St. Louis as they get the ball moving around here. Seems like Miami is dropping back, comfortable. Just let St. Louis have more possession at this point. Just want to consolidate things and let them keep everything in front of them.
Well, you certainly can't win the game in the first 10 minutes, but you can lose it. And right now, Miami forcing St. Louis to break them down.
Yeah, they're very compact, but this is what St. Louis has been doing, playing balls over the top.
Nice dish from Umar. Finds Paris G, who made the long run up the right side, but Miami takes possession back.
Great overlap by Paris G, not expecting it on the outside. Is Ba, but he was there to recover. But again, we've seen 2 or 3 balls over the top, being a little bit more direct with their play, St. Louis, and putting Miami under pressure in the first 10 minutes of the game.
Headed down, kept alive for a moment. Morton took a shot. Trouble in the back. This is a giveaway, and it's picked up by Gregg, and it's the first goal of the season for St. Louis. Kyle Gregg takes advantage of a Miami mistake, and it's 1-0.
Yes, Lloyd Sam looking to pass that ball back to his goalkeeper, but didn't see Kyle Gregg sneaking in. That's the poacher. He's always sniffing in and around the box and has a nose for goal. And he just picked off the pass, and it was easy to round Silvestri and passed it into the back of the net.
The man who was second in St. Louis FC history for single season goals. He scored 13 2 years ago, and he's got one in the first 10 minutes of 2020.
Great opportunistic goal for Kyle Gregg. Sets the tone. They've been rewarded for their confident play and their adventurous play going down the wings, and their pressure as well. That pressure caused Sam to pass the ball back. Not seeing Gregg coming through, picked it off. 1-0 St. Louis.
That St. Louis FC goal is delivered by Domino's.
St. Louis FC goal,
and the
first of the season, scored by number 22.
Side referee took a bit of a shot. Changes the complexion now because Miami, they were holding serve. Cicerone can't get loose. Griffiths recycles it back to Silvestre. And of the guys who were out there, the mistake by Lloyd Sam, that's not the guy that I would have pegged to make that mistake.
Well, there's been constant pressure from St. Louis up front, putting, just getting at every ball, looking to counter press when they lose the ball. And it paid dividends for them in the end. A mistake made by Sam. And all of a sudden they're on the board, and that's what they want.
Sadie trying to showcase speed down the left side, but the ball went over the touchline.
Yes, I think Miami just needs to settle down and probably keep a little bit of possession, a little bit more mobility off the ball, so that they make St. Louis have to do a little defensive work. But St. Louis is doing a good job of keeping the ball when they get possession. So it's putting Miami on the back foot.
Sam cuts that entry pass out, wins possession back. Now you're playing from behind. It's so early in the game. Do you stray from what you initially set out to do in this first half?
I don't think so. I think if we're in Miami, you keep playing what you know. Be confident in your play. Just try to settle down as Velasquez steps on the ball here. Try to keep a little bit of possession, get a little confidence. And eventually things will open up for you, but it's very early in the game, no time to panic.
That was better from Miami. Momentary high press as Morton boots it deep. Kyle Morton from Westchester, Pennsylvania.
Again, Sam high up the field. They're looking to attack through the outsides. Rosenboom playing it in, and Miami gets possession. hopefully they can just keep moving the ball around here and finding those open pockets as the ball gets played left.
Olam to the top, looking for Williams, who went in a bit too aggressively. Get a look at Steve Trichu. Boldy, you know a thing or two about Steve. You guys worked together in Colorado Springs, and he now comes into a new arena environment for the first time in quite some time.
Yeah, this is Steve's hometown. He's from St. Louis. Worked with him for the last 5 years in the USL, and you know he's very, very passionate about the game. Loves coaching, loves everything about the game, and I'm sure his players are going to show that on the field.
Well, when we spoke to him on the phone earlier this week, he was really excited. You could just tell it in the energy in his voice was that of a coach who knew that he had a lot of good pieces to work with. He said, I came in, the team was already finalized. I know a lot of these players because I've played against them. And one of the things that he said that I thought was interesting, he said a lot of these players were on a wish list when I was in Colorado. And now all of my wishes came true. I've got them all here.
Yeah, it's quite a few of them. I mean, I remember scouting a lot of these players with him, and you know, I'm glad that he got the opportunity to finally coach some of these players. And he also expressed the fact that he doesn't have to give them much instruction. You know, there's a lot of experience in the team, and that he's comfortable just telling one or two of the players what to do, and they can go out there and execute.
He said, I only have to tell guys things once. And that's a big positive for any coach. Cicerone gets his head to it. Silvestre turns it aside.
Yes, Miami with a little lax in marking, allowing Cicerone to get in on the back post, and a great cross comes in. Silvestre did a great reaction save to put it over the bar for a corner. As you can see here, Paris G with a nice fine cross to the back post with Cicerone. Silvestre with a great save.
Well, it might be 2 or 3-0 here in the first half, if not for the acrobatics of Brian Silvestre. Spent 2019 with forward Madison FC of League One. Does have a couple, I should say a dozen, MLS starts under his belt. Knocked aside for yet another corner.
Yes, St. Louis just turning the screws here, looking to get another go-ahead goal. Referee just making sure everybody's keeping their hands to themselves in the box.
Wharton curls it deep. Punched back in, headed clear by Heath, and pushed along by Sadie.
Yeah, just overcooking that cross, Wharton. Not sure if that was something that from the training ground where they looked to play the back post and had that ball back across the box, but just a little bit too much to handle, and ball comes easily back for a goal kick from Silvestre.
Olam wanted to go down the right flank, instead turns it back.
Yeah, Miami not doing too well, not handling the pressure of St. Louis in the first couple opening minutes here. Finding it difficult to play out of the back. And St. Louis, as I said before, just turning the screws.
Another nice long ball. St. Louis finding open pockets of space. Cicerone again. Silvestre sends it aside.
Yes, that ball down the flank is giving Miami a hard time.
Silvestre standing on top of his head. He's all over the place tonight.
Yeah, Miami having a hard time. Ba on the end dealing with Paris G coming from the out on the flank, and Silvestre being called, his numbers being called earlier on in the game, and he's responding.
On first blush, it looked like St. Louis had another, and with 3 keepers for Miami. They had a decision to make. So far, they've made the right one. Williams heads that corner clear. It's kept alive. It falls for Cicerone. Sent down the left side. I believe that just went over the byline. Goal kick.
St. Louis finding a lot of space, a lot of room in the flank position, bypassing midfield, going a little bit direct and playing over the top into the wide flank positions and getting crosses into the box, causing Miami problems, turning their back line towards the goal, and then cutting that ball back for Cicerone coming on late. They're posing a lot of problems for Miami at this point.
And that is going to be an indirect free kick if indeed John Freeman sees what we saw. Silvestre tapped the ball in the goal box and then touched it again, and you can't be the first player to touch it after taking that free kick, and so this is going to set up for a very interesting indirect free kick.
Definitely not something that we expect from an experienced keeper as Silvestre to touch the ball twice here. That's maybe a little bit of nerves coming in the early parts of the game as Miami's been under a lot of pressure since the start of the game.
Probably fortunate, actually, to this point, that he touched it again, because otherwise St. Louis had a clear goal. At least now they have a chance to build a wall.
Yeah, it's a very, very difficult spot to be in here, Miami, and St. Louis has to put their foot on it and make sure that they pick their spot here to put Miami even under more pressure if they score again right here.
I believe I count, is that all 11 players or am I counting 10? I think, no, that's 11 players along the line. The reason is because somebody has to touch the ball before it goes into the net for it to count as a good goal.
That's correct.
This will be your indirect free kick from 6 yards out. You don't see this every day.
No, it's one of the rarest calls, but it does happen. Let's see how they respond.
Wharton pushes Cicerone, hammers it home. 2-0 to St. Louis. They've stomped all over Miami here in the first half.
Great strike from Cicerone. Very little that all the Miami players on the line could do. Breaking right through, but a tough start for Miami on the road.
Two mistakes defensively. Let's take a look first at the play that led to that indirect free kick. We're talking about Silvestre. He just taps the ball. You can see right there, it's minuscule enough to set up the indirect free kick.
And once that ball rolled forward, ref had to make the call, and Cicerone here smashes it into the upper corner.
Five goals last year for Cicerone in 33 St. Louis appearances, and that is yet another St. Louis FC goal delivered to you by Domino's. They're hungry for more.
FC goal, his first of the season, scored by number 9, Russell Cicerone.
Mario Williams looking to hold play up, get Miami just settled down.
To number 7, Todd Wharton.
The Luligans down the right side there, giving you a visual spectacle of the atmosphere going on here in St. Louis.
And if you're a St. Louis fan, this is definitely what you want from your team. Opening day, 2 goals up within 23 minutes of the start. Great, a lot of energy in the stadium, and they're looking to push forward and get even more.
Well, since 1947, Select has been a leader in soccer ball quality and innovation. Select is the official ball supplier of the USL Championship and many of the elite leagues throughout Europe. For the latest Select products and special offers, please visit selectsportamerica.com. Miami just trying to get something going on this end of the pitch. This is Sam. He'll curl one in. That's too far over the head of Sadie. But tracked down on the other end. Kept alive momentarily until finally it was tapped out. I believe that was Ba that worked his way to the ball.
Yeah, Barr coming up to apply pressure, just joining the attack, but unfortunately went off his right leg and went out of bounds for a throw from Paris G.
Velasquez. Now Roseboom. Can't stick it to his feet.
This is better for Miami in terms of energy and actually getting in and around the ball. Look at the position of their team right now. They're higher up the pitch, looking to apply a little bit more pressure to back for St. Louis and not allowing them to play those long balls over the top.
St. Louis now sitting in a comfortable position. You would think the rest of this first half, they're playing with house money right now. The way that it's gone. Still have to stay on your toes though, as Sam is fouled.
Yeah, wall foul, being just a little bit overly physical. Referee is right on top of it. Free kick Miami.
Ba up for Sadie, back to Othello Ba. Now Olam. Roseboom.
As you can see, Miami is a little bit static. There's no movement in front of the back three, and they're finding it difficult to play through a very structured and very set St. Louis side. Now St. Louis has it, and they're moving the ball 1 and 2 touch, and Miami has to shift again and transition back to defense.
Cicerone, low cross in, narrowly dealt with. Griffiths clears it away. Now Heath. Lloyd Sam just looking for help. Has it in Harrison Heath, the Englishman.
This is much better for Miami, just putting their foot on the ball, moving in between the lines.
Earn, save, spend, and learn with Greenlight, the debit card to kids that parents manage by app. Sign up today at greenlightcard.com and get 1 month free.
This is the man they need to have on the ball, Velasquez. He's the creative force.
Lost it that time. Kept alive. Roseboom wants to switch the field of play. It's turned over.
Again, looking for that ball down the line. Roseboom is in position. But it's much better from Miami in terms of them moving the ball through the lines, looking to find players and breaking that pressure of St. Louis.
You see, St. Louis is setting their defense a little bit deeper than they had originally. That's a nice win by Williams. He's into some space. What can he do with it? It deflects off of Williams and out for a goal kick, and that's just the type of luck that Miami has had in the first half.
Yeah, well, there at least you saw the speed of Romario Williams coming through. Unfortunately, he couldn't find an open teammate inside the box, but they're looking to get more out of him. More situations like that from Romario Williams, and hopefully more players can join.
Manager Nelson Vargas is expecting big things. He says he's the type of player that should be scoring 20 to 25 goals per season. He can score in all different kinds of ways, right foot, left foot, with his head. That's a high mark and a high bar to set.
Yeah, big expectations, but you also have to provide service to that forward that has the ability to put the ball in the net. And Miami is just working their way up the field, and interesting to see if they can get more opportunities from the flank and more opportunities coming down for combination play to free up space for Romario Williams to use the talent that he has.
Cicerone was making a nice run down the left side. Instead, it's left for fall, and Roseboom collects that garbage. Velasquez is fouled.
Again, St. Louis is doing a good job of getting bodies behind the ball, and as soon as Miami picks up the ball, having people in the proximity to pressure and force the players, force Miami to make mistakes.
Williams holds it up, gets through 2 St. Louis defenders, and then loses it out of bounds.
Yeah, Williams looking to draw the referee's call there, but fortunately for St. Louis, the referee was not buying it.
It's turned by Umar.
A lot of confidence and space on the ball here for St. Louis.
Haven't called Fenwell Kavita's name all too often tonight. That's because he hasn't really been tested. Gagnon Laparé leaves it nicely for Cicerone, who keeps it alive. And that pass just a bit too far, intended for Sam.
Again, those wide flank positions are, what's causing Miami trouble. There's not a lot of compactness, not a lot of pressure on the ball, and St. Louis is having a good time going down the flanks.
I think that's exactly what Nelson Vargas was saying just a moment ago.
Well, we'll see if they adjust as the game progresses.
It's a nice lead pass up for Sadie from Velasquez. What can Prince Sadie do? He puts a shot on target, but he's stonewalled by Kyle Morton.
There you saw the speed of Prince Sadie getting away. So unfortunately, he was under pressure, so much pressure that he was forced to make the shot from a difficult angle. And Morton was right behind it to collect.
Again, Gagnon Laparé is left unattended down the left side. And it starts a St. Louis break.
Yeah, Miami is stretched at this point, and
here's Sam. He gets to the byline, and it's just a bit too far.
Just a little bit too much space in between the midfield and the defensive line there.
This officially will go down as the first shot on goal in Miami FC history in the USL Championship.
Relatively easy collect there for Morton. Prince Sadie trying to get his boot through and put that to the far post, but may have been thrown off just by the defender coming back.
Don't miss a minute of action in 2020. Sign up today and get alerts all year long by following your club on ESPN.com. Search for St. Louis FC and then click the follow button to keep up with the latest news and scores, plus get reminders on St. Louis's next match. Go to ESPN.com now and click follow for your club.
Miami opting for the goal kick here instead of trying to play out the back, but it seems like it get caught up in the wind. Didn't go too far. And St. Louis is back on the ball, looking to attack again.
Russell Cicerone has been active, and you can hear the wind howling in the background.
Here's your touch for Fanny Kavita.
Maybe the only one this half. The captain of this St. Louis FC side, he played every minute of 2019. Did not miss a tick.
Veteran defender. Knows the league really well.
Chipped ahead for Sam. Backheeled nicely on its way to Wharton, who kept it alive momentarily. All tried to recycle it back.
Fall seems to be in great position all the time, just keeping the team balanced, making sure that he puts out any fires that comes through the midfield.
Seems very calm in that position. See, it's a 50-degree night here at West Community Bank Stadium in St. Louis. Fenton, Missouri, to be specific.
Well, that's allowing Wharton and Umar to find spaces higher up the field and break Miami down.
Velasquez looking for help. There's been a mild lack of direction once Miami gets it into this half of the pitch. A lot of times that direction has been backwards.
And with them being new to the USL, it's going to take a while for them to adjust to the pace of the game, the speed of play. And as you can see, some miscues on players running forward, balls being passed behind. So hopefully they can settle down and get on the same page here, especially going through the midfield.
Good work out of the back, just not making any headway. Finally breaking through the lines. This is Sam, who dumps it off. The cross sent in and scooped up as Bezecourt's efforts rolled right into the arms of Morton.
That's better from Miami. Getting the penetration down the wing and best court, looking to find Williams in the middle. Just a little bit off with the timing, but much better from Miami.
You played at different levels too, and when you move up, what's the biggest concern in those first couple of games, those first couple of halves, when you're just trying to adjust to the next level?
The biggest thing for me was the speed of play. How quickly the ball moves, how quickly the players move, and how quickly you have to adjust. And I think that's what Miami is experiencing right now, is just that they haven't adjusted as quickly. And, you know, obviously playing away, and St. Louis wanted to be on the front foot and come out and pressing didn't help that either. So they just have to settle down, know that, you know, they're still in the game, and consolidate play, making sure they're compact, not giving a lot of room as they did here.
A bad effort from Greg, but the flag was up.
And making it difficult for St. Louis to penetrate. And now St. Louis is having an easier go at it in terms of putting players out of the game, getting the balls wide, asking questions of the back four.
It's worth mentioning that most of the guys in blue tonight have played at this level or even at higher levels. It's just when you put 11 guys out there, many of whom have not played with one another, it becomes tougher to form that cohesive unit that they're looking for to come away with 1 or 3 points.
Right, and it may take them a few games to find their chemistry, find, you know, innately knowing where players are going to be, so that the timing of their movement is much better. And you know, with St. Louis, these guys, they have a little bit of experience underneath them, and they're showed by the level of competition they've been playing.
Gagnon Laparé leaves it in. It's cleared off the line by Ba. Header won by Wharton. Back flicked by Fall. Gagnon Laparé is harmed. And another free kick in a rather dangerous spot. I've not seen any yellow on the field besides the shirt of John Freeman.
I think the referee has done a great job of letting them play. You know, there's a certain level of physicality to the game, but nothing malicious in the tackle. St. Louis transitioning the defense very, very quickly and getting the ball, retaining possession.
10 minutes to play in this first half. A goal from Kyle Gregg started things in the 10th minute. And then Russell Cicerone added off of an indirect free kick 7 yards from the goal to make it 2-0.
Yeah, fantasy start for St. Louis. Perfect, what they wanted. Miami just finding a little bit hard going at the beginning here, but hopefully they can find their footing and settle down and get back on the board.
The USL Championship returns to the ESPN networks in iconic fashion tonight. Two U.S. soccer legends collide when Landon Donovan and 2020 newcomers San Diego Loyal SC host Eric Wynalda and the Las Vegas Lights FC. That's tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern on ESPN News. Mike Watts and Devin Kerr have the call. That's going to be a good one. Gagnon Laparé sees open space down the right side. Paris G making a run to the byline, plops it back in. It's kept alive. Roseboom clears it. St. Louis still threatening. Gagnon Laparé, now Cicerone. Fall has options, takes it on himself.
Miami
Cicerone.
chasing shadows, Miami at this point.
And finally, it's knocked clear and for a goal kick, which means the option there for Grieg was he could possibly get to that ball. It didn't look like he had a great chance. It looked like he might have had some defender help there. It looks like Ba got to it in time too.
Yes, fortunately for Miami, Ba laid it all on the line to block that shot by Greg. Again, dangerous cross into the box, but Miami the outside backs for St. Louis are definitely having an impact in the final third. G and Laparé coming up, making combination play on the edge of the box, whipping in crosses from the outside and forcing Miami to do emergency defending.
Velasquez looking for the run of Prince Sadie. They haven't utilized Sadie as much as they'd like. He does have their one shot on goal tonight. Got to handle this. That's not going to get it done. Cicerone picking up the scraps, and he couldn't hold on to it. John Freeman says no foul. Miami knocks it out, and now Roseboom.
Yeah, just a little bit of lack of communication between Roseboom and Griffiths here. Physical tackle to win the ball back, but then having to put the ball out of bounds as as St. Louis counter pressed.
Here's Paris G. And there's Fanuel Cavita.
Again, not a lot of pressure being applied by Miami. Seem to be comfortable in letting St. Louis have the ball in this position. But what you can see there is
that right there is a three-pointer and then some. That's Steph Curry range. Did you see that go into the trash can?
Yeah.
Oh my. Wow.
I'm not sure if that was intentional, but it certainly was something.
Oh,
to
if
see.
you ask him, it was intentional. What a shot. Unbelievable.
But that's
the fans appreciated it.
for sure. But it shows the mentality and the style of play that St. Louis want to employ now. They want to get down the flanks. They want to put the outside backs under pressure. And, bypassing the midfield at times and playing those balls deep over the top is getting their outside backs onto the ball, getting Cicerone, getting Sam onto the ball, and they're being joined by Lepore and Jean, causing overloads on the outside.
5 minutes left for Miami to make something of this first half, or perhaps better yet, to stop the bleeding. Cicerone been running down the left side all night. Now Fall had trouble with it. Sam will come back the other way.
Yeah, a little bit left to be desired on that last pass by Fall. But
Williams holds up play nicely.
Good recovery all the same.
Sam just wants some movement.
It's just a little bit too slow with mobility from Miami. The players get in good situations, but then they allow St. Louis to recover, and the spaces get closed down, and they have to pass the ball back. So credit to St. Louis for getting back and transitioning quickly to defense and putting Miami in uncomfortable situations.
This is better from Miami, and Sam is mauled as he tried to make a run down the right side, and I believe that'll be the last foul that John Freeman allows Gagnon Laporte before issuing a card.
Yeah, Laporte just noticing the danger that they're in, making a decision to make a tactical foul.
This will be one of our first looks at Miami from a set piece.
Yeah, they've got a couple of players that can be very dangerous on set pieces. Velasquez being one of them, taking them. And obviously you got big bodies in the box. Griffiths, Williams coming up. We'll see how St. Louis defends their first set piece.
It'll be Harrison Heath to take the kick, trying to make something happen in the late stages of the first half. Heath had it deflected by the one-man wall of Moore Sam.
There's one thing, with these free kicks from wide positions, you got to beat the first man to get the ball in the box.
That's trying to hit the golf ball through the trees and being told it's 90% air.
Unfortunate there for Miami. They had numbers in the box, but just couldn't get it in. Poor cross there by Sadie. As we take a look at Coach Steve Trichu, let's be happy going to halftime with a 2-0 lead at home in the opening game.
Well, we know what the talk in the locker room will sound like from St. Louis's perspective. If you're Nelson Vargas, what do you say?
Well, we have to retain possession a little bit more, which means we have to be moving off the ball. I believe, once the back four gets the ball and they're looking to play out of the back, as we can see right here, we need mobility in front of the ball in order to advance the ball and penetrate. So we need players to move. So I think that's going to be one of the first things he says. And then the second thing is that we've got to stay compact when you transition to defense. can't afford to get stretched in the midfield, and we can't afford to leave players like G and Laparé wide on the outside. We have to make sure that they're under pressure when they come up.
Sadie's been a bright spot. Take a look at that. Sadie tripped in the box. Penalty.
But for Miami, this is what they want to see. They want to see Sadie going 1v1 on the outside. That's a big part of his game. And fortunately for them, he took the player on and created a foul. And there's a penalty for Miami.
Prince Sadie with a scalding run. He went down right as Kavita came in.
Yeah, as coaches always say, don't leave your feet in the box, because anything can happen.
The veteran Romario Williams stands at the spot with a chance to give Miami FC their first goal
Mario Williams
in USL Championship play.
Looking to open his account from the spot.
Williams and Kyle Morton in the final stages of the first half. It's Romario Williams. It's the first goal in Miami FC Championship history. Williams scores, and then a tussle as Williams tried to grab the ball. St. Louis wants to slow play down. It's 2-1, and that means game on.
Game on. Miami pulls one back. Confidence should be restored here. It's only one goal to go, but they need to make sure that they go into halftime with this score staying the same way, or even getting one back.
Morton guessed the right way. Williams just put it in the right spot.
Great technique. That's where you want to put it. Side netting. Very difficult for the goalkeeper to get that one.
And then you saw Williams try to run up and grab the ball afterwards. And they weren't having any of it. 2 minutes of stoppage time. That's brought to you by Paycor. Need more time in your business? Contact Paycor to handle your payroll and human resources needs. And from what looked like a dismal first half from Miami, turns into a 2-1 ball game where they salvage thanks to Prince Sadie, who's been the brightest spot on the pitch.
Yeah, so if I'm Coach Vargas, I'm looking to go to him more often. If he's causing problems for Paris G down the left flank, then he needs to get him the ball a little bit more often and see if we could create more opportunities like that, what they created just now for the penalty.
Well, remember when I asked you what Nelson Vargas needed to say to his side going into halftime? Does that talk change now because it's a different complexion? They might be looking for more here. Williams tries to hold it up. A swarming defense, though, by St. Louis, and maybe one more run.
Well, in terms of transition from offense to defense, as we see right here, I think they still need to do a better job in terms of getting back behind the ball quickly. But in terms of offensively, they do need to get the ball wider into Sam and into Sadie so they could go at this St. Louis defense 1v1 and create things down the line and get Romario Williams some more service up front.
Sam sends it clear. Williams has been trying to hold the ball up in the midfield all game long. He's done a pretty decent job. That should take us to halftime with St. Louis, who scored twice in the first 20 minutes, leading by a goal. Miami, though, they've clawed their way back into it with their first goal in championship history. It's 2-1 at the half.
Well, great start by St. Louis. Starting on the front foot, put Miami under pressure, but credit also to Miami of not laying down. They came back, they got a penalty kick, and it's 2-1 going into the half.
We've got halftime highlights for you, along with a look around the rest of the USL Championship's first week. A game on our hands in St. Louis. Halftime here at West Community Bank Stadium.
This year we developed Ale d'Or, which is a beer brewed exclusively for the St. Louis Football Club. We've been partners with STLC for coming up on 3 years now. St. Louis Football Club, got some Schlafly, call out our Luligan friends on the side. You'll be able to find Ale d'Or obviously out at Soccer Park and then at your local grocery in and around St. Louis, so we're really excited to get it out there in the market. We're excited to debut it in 16-ounce cans for the upcoming season.
When you need quality electrical work for your home or business, look to theelectricalconnection.org. Created as a partnership between IBEW Local 1 electricians and the St. Louis chapter of the National Electrical Contractors Association, the Electrical Connection has been setting the standard for electrical excellence in St. Louis for over 100 years. You can depend on our highly skilled and trained workforce, your #1 source for quality electrical and communication contractors, electricalconnection.org.
Match.
2-1 St. Louis at halftime here at West Community Bank Stadium. As we get you ready for the second half, first let's take a look at what else we've got going around the USL, including, Woldy, we've got a lot of players on the move this season. The offseason had a lot of different transfers, and it starts here. You take a look at Billy Forbes and Ever Guzman going from San Antonio. They're moving along to bigger and better places. Forbes to Austin, Ever Guzman to Hartford. And this is part of what you see when you get to this point in the season. It's about a lot of new faces and new places.
Yeah, beneficiaries of great attackers. His teams at Hartford, Nico Brett to Birmingham doing, he scored a ton of goals last year and, great pickup.
And this here you're seeing is the playoff matchup between Birmingham and Pittsburgh, and Nico Brett scored 4 goals in that game, and now he joins the other side. Maybe, perhaps because of this performance?
Oh, definitely. I mean, this definitely have pushed them over the edge to look to acquire Nico Brett. A great attacker, good experience in the league, and obviously he knows how to put the ball in the net.
That's why we saw Prince Sadie go to Miami, because of where he was when Miami played them. Elsewhere, OKC seems to benefit from the demise of Fresno, with a key forward and goalkeeper heading to the Sooner State. Don't forget Phoenix Rising FC either. They generally make pretty good moves. Making another splash, they add the veteran Santi Moore.
Santi Moore, definitely a great attacker. Loves to go 1v1, but is definitely a threat from outside the box, from range. In the 1v1 situations, he's tough to defend, and he has a killer instinct getting around the goal. Going
from New Mexico to arguably the top team in the USL. Of course, we stay in the desert with Las Vegas Lights FC. They lose Irvin Parra to the expansion side, San Diego Loyal SC, the expansion side that we'll see on ESPN News later tonight.
Parra is a handful going at 1v1. He could play in the 10 position, he could play in the 9 position, but either way he gets close to the goal. Anywhere near the goal, he's a threat.
It's a hat trick at Cashman Field against Tacoma for Parra that you're getting a look at. Now he goes to a side led by Landon Donovan. Taylor Muller, who joined Charleston way back in 2012. Look how far he's got to go. He's got to go from one side of the country to the other. He goes west with Tacoma, and this is what you see. How about Lebo Meloto, an explosive player? Didn't make the MLS jump with Nashville, so he looks to be a catalyst for the new and improved FC Tulsa in 2020.
Well, what you see is a lot of attacking players, which speaks to where the league is going. We love to see goals and teams seeing that these attacking players are available are making those moves.
Well, those are just a few of the moves that were made this offseason. Time will tell what happens with those players in respective teams. But in the meantime, we can dig a little bit deeper and take a look into the 10th anniversary season of the USL.
Come on, come on. Nice and tight here. Bring it in tighter. Nice and tight.
Everything we do matters. Very few people in the world ever get an opportunity like this.
We talked about making history, right? And what are you going to do to change history? When it's your turn to make a tackle, are you going to make that tackle? Are you going to score the goal? Are you going to make the save and throw a few miracles for us? Grab your freaking moments. That's my point.
Huge credit to every one of you. Massive performance coming on, the way that you press, and please for every one of you.
This is an awesome time, and we're going to show them that we're for real. We are for real because we all believe in each other, right? This is our moment. This is our moment to shine.
Every single day, guys, we have to fight to create our identity.
Take your moment within the games and make them your moments. Let's go out there and kick ass. Come on. Let's go. Let's go. 1, 2, 3.
Wow, what a job he is doing. Leo Fernandez tries to shake it up. Bender Johnson trying to cross one in. Still alive in the box and scored! One shot. Forbes turning on the speed.
Hey guys, how's it going? Kelsey Steele, Scott Stewart here from USL HQ in beautiful Tampa, Florida. How better to get this season going than laying out our top signings
to get a more advanced position on the field?
Sit in. It's Jimmy Oxford!
Himself from attacking the back four, gets that chance to bury it. That gives Earl Edwards Jr. absolutely no chance. Why? Because it's in the top corner. You're never going to have a chance. It's over the wall. It's the perfect.
Popped up more with the left.
Oh!
More with the second goal. He now has a brace.
Look at the touch there. That's Soler. Great ball over the top by Wehan. And then how about the shot here?
2-1 here at West Community Bank Stadium. It is time to take a look around the rest of the USL. It is week 1. We had 2 games last night, a whole host of games tonight to kick off USL Championship action. Of course, Miami, our game here, one of 2 new sides. We'll see San Diego Loyal in their game coming up later tonight on ESPN News. You've got to get yourself the USL app, Woldy. If you don't have it yet, you can watch every goal at the touch of a finger. And then you see that down there at the bottom, Tim Howard signing with Memphis, signing, I'll put in quotations because he is part owner and, you know, also the sporting director of the club. But he got the start tonight in goal. More on that in a second. Here's your power rankings for 2020 to start the season. Fairly arbitrary. Anything that sticks out among the teams you see or somebody you don't see?
Not really. Sacramento, I think, would be a little bit higher on the board, and Reno, but that looks like a good top 10.
How about Miami at the number 9 spot to start? They've got some work to do to stay there. This is what's coming up next week on ESPN+. Miami FC with their home opener against the Tampa Bay Rowdies. A couple of other good matchups, Memphis and St. Louis. And as we take a look at the scoreboard tonight, that Memphis game that we were talking about, Memphis had a 2-0 lead after 16 minutes, and then Indy scored 4 straight against Tim Howard in goal, and that's the difference in the ballgame.
Tough going for the first start for Timmy.
Well, plenty of time to turn things around, and that includes these 2 teams who still have 45 minutes and change to play. We'll have the second half when we return.
This year we've developed Ale d'Or, which is a beer brewed exclusively for the St. Louis Football Club. We've been partners with STLC for coming up on 3 years now. St. Louis Football Club, got some Schlafly, call out our Luligan friends on the side. You'll be able to find Ale d'Or obviously out at Soccer Park and then at your local grocery in and around St. Louis, so we're really excited to get it out there in the market. We're excited to debut it in 16-ounce cans for the upcoming season.
When you need quality electrical work for your home or business, look to the electricalconnection.org. Created as a partnership between IBEW Local 1 electricians and the St. Louis chapter of the National Electrical Contractors Association, the Electrical Connection has been setting the standard for electrical excellence in St. Louis for over 100 years. You can depend on our highly skilled and trained workforce, your #1 source for quality electrical and communication contractors, electricalconnection.org.
Spencer Siegel with you, Woldy Harris alongside, getting you ready for the start of the second half between St. Louis and Miami. Let's take a look at some highlights from the first half. Woldy, it started with St. Louis out on the front foot early and often. And, well, the first goal came from Cicerone, but Brian Silvestre was great in goal.
Definitely having great positioning and coming up with some reflex saves to keep Miami in the game early. But these things can't happen. They're leaving your goalkeeper out to dry there with a poor back pass by Sam, and Greg took advantage. Can't give a guy like Greg any type of opportunity like this.
I think he was expecting Silvestre to come up, and instead it turns into the first goal of the game on a turnover that Greg was ready for. That made it 1-0, and then 10 minutes later, well, first you take a look at Cicerone's header. This is Silvestre again. He had 6 saves in the first half, and I would say this was probably the most emphatic.
Well, the 2 outside backs for St. Louis have been doing a fantastic job of getting forward. Paris G whipping in crosses, and again, this is him passing the ball back to and getting a shot from the top of the box. Cicerone.
Yeah, 2 saves in the span of about 10 seconds, and then the St. Louis goal came on an indirect free kick because on right here, this goal kick, you can't touch it twice, so he decided to touch it again, and that means it's an indirect free kick. Set it up, Cicerone puts it home, and it's 2-0, and you thought St. Louis was rolling from there.
Yes, we thought St. Louis was rolling from there, but they seemed to take their foot off the gas and allow Miami back into the game. But great strike here from Cicerone, full of confidence.
And this is Prince Sadie getting inside, drawing the penalty 2 minutes before the halftime whistle, and Miami has life.
Mario Williams, goal scorer, doing what a goal scorer does, putting the ball in the back of the net to the right of the goalkeeper and putting his team back in position to get a result on the road.
So it's 2-1, despite the fact that St. Louis has held the ball 55% of the time. You see the shot and shots on target differential. Miami's got their work cut out for them here in the second half, but 1 goal deficit, you're in it.
Anything could happen.
We're just about ready for the start of the second half. West Community Bank Stadium, our site, the first game in 2020 as these 2 teams get loose one last time. Good crowd on hand, about a 50-degree night in St. Louis. All 11 players from both sides will make their way back onto the pitch.
Well, as you know, Spence, this game is a tale of 2 halves, and they can be very, very different. So the first 10, 15 minutes should tell if Miami is up for the challenge and coming back into this game.
Obviously, they need to be more pure on the ball. They need to continue to get themselves into positions where they're not turning it over or making those mental mistakes. But is there something tactically that you saw them do well in the first half that they can turn into their second half?
Yeah, well, I saw them get when they got the ball wide, they looked very dangerous, especially on the outside with Sadie. And Velasquez, I believe, needs to get on the ball a little bit more, and help displace the defense, and looking to get more out of Bezecourt as well. So more mobility off the ball. Get those players that are have great technique and are skillful and crafty on the ball, and ask questions of the St. Louis defense and midfield. Displace the defense a little bit, and then look to get balls into Romario Williams to do his thing up front.
Well, I mentioned that both sides would return all 11 players. I regret to inform you that I lied to you. Tomas Granito come into the game for Miami. He replaces Lance Roseboom. There's a look at Granito from El Salvador.
Granito may add a little bit more bite and a little bit more skill in the midfield and a little bit more energy.
Played collegiately at Florida Gulf Coast over in Fort Myers. We're underway here in half number 2. It's Miami in the blue. And with Granito coming into the game, that is the first of our Cigna substitutions.
Starting off well here, looking to push forward and put the onus on St. Louis to defend.
Here's Lawrence Olam on the ball. Now Othello Ba, the Liberian. Granito gets his first touch. Harrison Heath back for Tomas Granito. St. Louis dropping back a little bit deeper.
Yeah, St. Louis starting off a little bit deeper than we expected them to, and allowing Miami to gain a little bit of possession here, knocking the ball around. Miami definitely coming out on the front foot, looking to impose themselves on the game. And the ball is moving a lot quicker, Spence.
Haven't been able to find the inroads just yet, but you said it. There's a confidence on the ball, and here's an opportunity. It's Bezecourt. He'll have a rip, and it's deflected by Morton. It falls for Williams, and Morton suctions it up. Nearly 2-2.
Yeah, that's a great reaction save from Morton. But, Miami being on the front foot, you could see it in the speed of their passing and their movement. Granito playing the ball through. And there's Bezecourt just holding off his defender, getting a shot on goal. In comes Velasquez and Romario, but it's gobbled up by Morton.
I thought Velasquez made a really nice run that Bezecourt could have found him on to make that extra pass. That clearance was not too inspiring. It falls. It's Cicerone, and it's blocked by Granito. And instead of 2-2, it could have been 3-1, and here we are still at 2-1, an entertaining first 2 minutes.
Yes, in tennis, they would have called this an unforced error by Griffiths, giving the ball away, and then a ball played in, and there's that man again, Cicerone, looking to take the first shot, but he cuts it back. Silvestri's on the ground. Luckily, he had more defenders covering, and the ball's out for the first corner of the second half.
Buckle your seatbelts, ladies and gentlemen. This is what we were hoping for. Kavita pops it back in. It'll fall again. Still not cleared off the line. Silvestre handles that Oscar Umar.
Yeah, Wallfall looking to draw the referee's call there. And other leagues that might be seen as a little bit of simulation, and referee would have done something, some disciplinary action, but ball fault.
Griffith. Dropped back for Sam. Now Velasquez needs help. On an island by himself. Granito playing wide.
Surprising how deep St. Louis is coming out and defending and not really pressing high and pushing the tempo on and asking questions of Miami, but dropping back and willing to let Miami have the ball deeper and advance.
Where their bread was buttered in the first half.
Yes, let's see if Miami can take advantage of this.
Sam having trouble getting it off of his foot. Cicerone right there to block it.
Yeah, definitely a lower energy from St. Louis. Not sure if this is part of the tactics in terms of seeing what they're doing and then having them advance the ball and then look to spring the counterattack because they've created space behind the Miami defense, but don't see it working right now. And knowing Coach Trichu, I'm pretty sure this is not what he expected in them coming out. I'm pretty sure he expected more of the same, to press and see if they could get more of the ball higher up the field and have a short field to go to the goal.
This is the St. Louis team that we saw last year have a lot of ups and downs. They started last season taking 13 out of a possible 15 points in their first 5 games. But at the end of the year last year, it was their collapse that kept them from the playoffs.
Yeah, well, right now you see that there's a lot of space in between the lines. And this is what you want to do in your attack. You want to spread the other team out. But Miami's doing a good job of staying in those passing lanes. Except for right now, curse of the commentator, they're opening them up.
Here's Paris G. Low cross inside. Sent away. Recycled back. As Sam Fink will send it over to Kavita. At the end of the year last year, St. Louis took just 1 point from their final 6 games, including 3 1-0 losses, one on the final day of the season that left them 1 point shy of making that 10th playoff spot in the East. Although Coach Trichu wasn't there, he said he felt that they needed more depth because of their U.S. Open Cup run where they got to the quarterfinals last year. Bezecourt is fouled. Wants to go quickly and will.
Yeah, this is much better from Miami.
Here's a chance. Williams. Sadie spins away from trouble, gets his cross in. Nobody there on the other side of it until it falls to the other side. Lloyd, Sam, out of bounds.
That's much better from Miami. Getting penetration down the wing, and even though the cross was a little bit overcooked, they're still compressed and compact enough to regain possession in the final third of the field and whip another cross in. Unfortunately, there weren't any numbers in the box to get on the end of things.
We thank you for your support of WSFC and professional soccer in St. Louis.
Kavita needs help. Finds Jeremy Gagnon-Laparé.
Here's the counter pressing that we were talking about from Miami. Pushing up high, everybody's compact. No space.
Last touched.
Very little space for St. Louis to play out. I'm sure this is what Coach Vargas wanted to see in the first half.
Miami in the first 7-8 minutes of this second half have come out looking the better side. High cross in, left something to be desired.
Looking a little bit concerned here on the sideline. Maybe looking to make a couple of different adjustments, get his team going, Coach Trichu.
Managed in Colorado Springs from 2015 up until last year. Was the club's first and only head coach, and then when he left midway through the season, there was somebody else who came in about halfway through.
I wonder who that was.
The man to my right. You know a thing or two about the angst that it puts on you to be a head coach in this league, how much pressure there is to win. That's a bad turnover by Ba, but he recovers nicely.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of information to process, a lot of responsibility, and you know, Coach Trichu did a great job for the 4.5 years that he was there. You know, these things happen in football. Management chooses to make a decision, and you know, you just have to get on with the business. But here he is again with another opportunity, and his team is looking great so far.
Born in Granite City, Illinois, just across the river from the Arch. Got Arch Madness going on in St. Louis as well right now. Every year, the Missouri Valley basketball tournament played. That's a bit too aggressive that time from Miami.
Yeah, this game getting a little bit chippy here and there. You know, a little bit inconsistent. A little bit, the flow has been affected a little bit, but
have not yet seen a card to this point.
Yes, the officials have done a great job of managing the game, managing the emotions, and they know it's the opening game, and you know, things are going to happen. Collisions are going to happen that are not necessarily intentional, but just due to nerves and the opening day.
One back by Sam. St. Louis has numbers. Sam has to get it off of his foot. He does. It's deflected, and Silvestre will handle that. Talked about Tricha coming into a new situation, and talked about the pressures of being a head coach, and that's something that Nelson Vargas on the other side has become intimately familiar with very quickly, because he was not hired after Miami found out that they would be in the championship. He was hired before, so he was hired to be in the NPSL.
Yeah, talking to Coach Vargas earlier this week, he expressed how difficult it is to process everything and getting used to having the responsibility of making decisions and you know, putting a team together, doing preseason. But he's open to the challenge, and he was definitely optimistic about the season and looking forward to getting the season started.
When it comes to putting a team together, he certainly has a lot of help, including that of President and General Manager Paul Dalglish. Might recognize that name. Header pushed on and just off the line. Greg was about an inch from his second. That was closer on the second look. Look at that.
That was a great left-footed ball in from Sam. And there's Greg again, the ever-present poacher in the box, just skimming off the side of his head and going just wide of it, right upright.
Vargas is certainly familiar with the area. He grew up in the area, drafted in '96 by the Tampa Bay Mutiny, and then went on to play for the expanded side Miami Fusion. 54 appearances there in the MLS with Miami. Now Miami's got a new squad, actually 2 new squads playing at the higher levels.
The soccer is definitely on the rise in this market.
Wonder what both supporter groups think of each other. Hopefully they can be amiable towards one another. You know how that can be.
All that's the passion surrounding the game. It's all in good fun and good sportsmanship.
Here's Olam making a deep run. Of course, Paul Dalglish, he played in the Premier League, the Scottish Premiership, moved to the MLS in 2006, won a couple of MLS Cups with Houston. The son of Kenny, and if you ever watch a Liverpool football match and you look up into the stands at Anfield, you'll see the Kenny Dalglish stand, which means he probably did some really good things.
A lot of good things. Well experienced and well traveled. Mario Williams coming in from the back here, just being a little bit overly physical, causing the foul. But definitely much better from Miami. Much better energy, better tempo to their play, and they're causing St. Louis some problems.
Well, perhaps stating the obvious, but the next goal here will really determine the flow the rest of the way. This could be a break for Miami. Williams is held up. And that might be our first card of the night. It is. Sam Fink is in the book.
Yeah, Sam Fink recognizing that their counter is on for Miami. And probably making a smart play there, just slowing the play down, taking the yellow card for the team, and getting everybody back behind the ball.
It appears through the first 15 minutes or so in the second half that St. Louis has weathered the early storm. Mentioned Miami starting to settle into their boots a little bit. Cicerone has been quiet. Here he is on the ball. A surging run for Sam, who's open. Can Sam get it around Silvestre, who comes off his line? He can't. Ball's still loose. And it's cleared away by Miami. They dodge a bullet.
That was a great change in point of attack by, I believe it was Cicerone. Sam coming in 1v1 with the keeper, but Silvestre is quick off his line.
Look how far out he had to come to make this save.
Great save there, but again, had to be alert defending to block that second shot.
Kavita for Gagnon Laparé. Now Umar. Sam trying to find the surging run of G. It was kept in play momentarily by Sadie, who then lost it.
Much better on the ball from St. Louis in that spell. Just knocking it 1 and 2 touch. Players moving off the ball. Keeping possession and making Miami have to adjust. Another unforced error, so to speak.
Miami has held the ball nearly 60% of the time here in this second half. They've completely flipped the script in terms of who's controlling the game, but they still find themselves down a goal. And they haven't shown much ability to get to the goal as well. They've got to move through these St. Louis lines, force a couple of shots.
Dave Granito has a lot to do with that. He's been on the ball a lot, making good decisions, when to possess and when to make that penetrating pass. Again, here he is on the ball. He's coming back and kind of dictating the play for Miami and helping them make good decisions in the midfield.
Like that.
Breaking the lines.
Velasquez drops it off. It's sent across goal and poked away. G gets it clear.
Yeah, Miami having to do some emergency defending there as he got penetrated on the flank and the ball's whipped in dangerously across the 6-yard box.
More bodies coming up in blue for Miami. Heath curls it towards the near post, and St. Louis has to clear once again. I believe they'll retake the corner.
Dangerous ball by Heath.
I don't think it would have counted. I didn't quite get a look at what John Freeman had alluded to, but they'll take the corner again. So Heath will try it a second time. This time it's headed clear more comfortably.
Yeah, you see what they're trying to do on that is to pack the near post. Lots of bodies there, tough for the keeper to get to the ball and just serve it in there, hopefully to get a flick on or a header or any type of flick towards the goal, and it's going to be hard for the goalkeeper to react and make a play on the ball. Unfortunately, the serve wasn't as good as Heath's second serve wasn't as good as the first.
First one almost went in by itself. Miami working out of the back. Here's Granito on the ball.
Much more patience on the ball from Miami. A little bit more confidence on the ball. Seem to have found their feet. Whatever Coach Nelson Vargas said to them at halftime is definitely making an impact on the way they're approaching the second half.
Fall lost it. Down to a knee, got it back, then gives it away. Lloyd Sam has been active. Got to get it off of his foot though. Finds Ba. Ba makes the surging run. Now Sadie to the byline. That's too strong, and it'll find its way out of bounds. You have a solid game plan for your financial future at Edward Jones. They craft investment strategies that are as individual as you are.
Good job by Miami staying compact here, forcing St. Louis back. possession, higher up the field. It's a poor decision by Malone, looking for
like he had Velasquez picked out, but I'll tell you, this has been what started out as a good second half for Miami is turning into a better one. It's not going to be a great second half until they can put the ball in the back of the net. Find themselves down one in their first USL Championship match in the club's history. And this has been where some of the trouble has come. This time it's comfortably dealt with. Sadie tries to spin away from trouble and then gets sent down the left flank, and it's cleared out. And Miami again into their attacking third.
Yeah, Bond, Sadie looking to combine down the line.
Bezecourt, nothing doing.
Again, it seems like...
Hey, that's you.
St. Louis is where'd that come from? St. Louis's energy level has gone down, and
Sam, that's a good cross. Nicely cleared away by Fall. Bezecourt was on the other end for a moment.
for whatever reason, they're sitting back and letting Miami come on to them, which doesn't bode well for their confidence and boosts Miami's.
And Heath put one in a good spot. This one is, again, a comfortable pair of mitts from Kyle Morton that settle things down. Still 25 minutes for Miami to make some hay, and St. Louis just having trouble getting it out of their own defensive third. Here's a chance. Greg can't settle it down. It's a turnover. Velasquez coming the other way with help. He's got Williams to his right. Here's Romario Williams, and it's offline.
That was a great chance for them to take advantage of. Romario Williams just pushing that ball wide right. Should have gone to the far post, but there you see in transition, that's what Miami is looking to do. Looking to play that, win the ball back in the midfield, get through the middle of the field with Velasquez, and looking to pick out either Williams or Bezecourt. Velasquez here picking out Williams. Williams side-footing it just wide to the right of the post. Maybe should have looked to go to the far post there.
Best chance of the second half for Miami. Sam trying to get around Ba. And now Ba is hobbled. Here's Granito.
If I recall, that's one of the first time I've seen Wharton get a touch of the ball in this second half. Hasn't been on the ball much versus the first half.
Too far for G. Well, if nothing else, this has been an encouraging second half for Miami that they can build upon down the road. Obviously, still 20 minutes and change to turn the tide in this one. But perhaps that first half was just a little bit more jittery than the actual product that we were expecting on the field.
Yeah, a little bit of nerves playing this. It's the first game of the season. You know, maybe one or two guys not on the same page, communication-wise and movement-wise. But you know, definitely encouraging to see them come out in the second half and kind of really establish the Miami way and the Miami style of play, in which they want to possess, get the balls down the wing.
Kept it alive for a moment. That was a nice pick out by Velasquez just to find him.
Yeah, playing 1- and 2-touch soccer through the midfield. Get the balls wide to Sadie in 1v1 and Sam in 1v1 situation, and see if they can get some more penetration on the outsides.
At some point you would think that Miami might look to break out their second substitution. One of the things that Nelson Vargas alluded to was the fact that his team does have a lot of depth based on the signings that he and Paul Dalglish made to build this team with the Miami FC way in mind?
Maybe they're looking at a Chow coming in, adding a little bit of speed. We already seen the effect that Grenada has had on the game, coming in and really distributing the ball. But also in contrast to that, in the way St. Louis has been playing, Coach Tritchu might be looking at making a sub as well to add a little bit more energy into the midfield and especially in transition going forward, and see if they can notch a third.
Nelson Vargas said there are two types of headaches you can have when filling out your starting 11. And he's got the second kind. That's a beautiful through ball inside. Opportunity goes begging. Cicerone missed everything, but it was deflected, and it's out for a corner.
Great ball behind the line by Wall-Fall, just threading it through to Cicerone. Cicerone looking to play that near post.
Cicerone upset with himself that time as Fall threaded it through. And it was indeed Olam that got a toe to it.
Veteran coming across and making a play. Last minute play on the ball. Saving Silvestri. And in turn, Miami FC from conceding a third.
To the back post it goes. Fall has to corral it. Settles it down nicely. Uses his lumberous frame to win another corner, I believe. There it is.
Yeah, I thought it looked like it came off the defender there. Seems to be a little bit of question if whether or not it did, but referee finally got it right. We have a corner, Wharton coming over, spotting it up. Raises the hand and see if they could get on the end of this one.
Wharton's low cross in, deflected. Silvestri punches it away. Kavita certainly used his arm as an assist mechanism.
Great reaction save there from Silvestri.
That'll get him a caution. That's the right call.
As I was saying before, great reaction save from Silvestri, and Fanny Kavita just looking to get on the end of it and corral that ball to get a shot, and that ball ended up hitting his hand, and referee rightly so give him a yellow card.
Both center backs for St. Louis are now in the book, Fink and Kavita. Fans, follow St. Louis FC and the rest of the USL Championship all season long on ESPN Plus, home to the USL, MLS, UFC, and more. Join the nearly 8 million sports fans who have already discovered ESPN Plus and watch the championship live every week. Sign up today at espnplus.com.
Vargas there trying to pick out Romario Williams in the middle of the box.
Still time for Miami, but the time is starting to dwindle.
And Miami looking to get themselves forward. And the free kick changing the point here.
They've been working both sides of the pitch.
Patient build up.
Bezecourt finds Lloyd Sam. Sam looking for help. Did that hit a hand? Claims to no avail. And given away cheaply, back to Granito it goes. Sam with a man down in the box. Cross deflected out. No signal yet on a corner or a throw, but first tend to the injured Vol Fall, who may have taken a shot to the head on the initial cross.
Yeah, not sure what exactly
Perhaps they were
happened to Fall.
jostling?
Not sure. The ball got played in. I'm not sure if the ball hit him or if he got, there's some incidental contact. But Coach Tritchu seems to be looking to make a sub as well, as we see Tyler Blackwood up off the bench.
And one of the things that Nelson Vargas mentioned I was alluding to before was their depth and how that's going to help them. And he says there are two types of headaches. One is when you don't have enough players to fill out 11, and in his case, it comes from having so many different options. It forces them to think, forces the coaching staff to think. See, Brian James will be ready to come in. Lloyd Sam will hand his captain's armband over to Benton Griffiths, and Miami's second Cigna sub takes place. James in, Sam off.
Substitution for Miami. Leading the game, number 14, Lloyd Sam.
Looking to get on things a little bit more attacking minded here. As James comes in.
This will be a Miami corner. To the back post, Granito heads it wide. One of the things that Nelson Vargas did not do was divulge who would be in the starting 11 to his side, even though I think he had generally a good idea. He wanted everybody playing as if they were competing for those starting spots.
And for the most part, in the second half, they've done that. First half, not so much. So it's still a work in progress, Miami.
Tyler Blackwood will make his season debut. Replaces the first goal scorer, Greg, who was savvy to the task when Lloyd Sam had some trouble on the back line. A weak back pass intended for the goalkeeper, Silvestre. Greg jumped on it and opened St. Louis's account here in 2020.
Yeah, Greg doing well in the first half, slowing down a little bit in the second half, and Coach Trichu looking to add some energy and some speed up front.
Here's the substitute, James, looking to inject some speed. That cross finds the goalkeeper, Morton.
Morton slowing things down, making sure that the box is clear and getting things started out of the back. Finding Blackwood in space. This is where he's dangerous.
Blackwood has made a run down the right side. Has he stayed onside? He's in on Silvestre. Blackwood, 3-1.
There he is. This is where his most dangerous 1v1 situations on the outside. Playing a 1-2, getting it behind the defense and picking his corner. St. Louis, 3-1.
It looked shaky for a moment, and Miami fought. But perhaps Tyler Blackwood, who was on for no more than 60 seconds, delivers the knockout blow.
Great ball in behind by Wharton and Sam. And here comes Blackwood just picking his spot. His left foot picking out that bottom right-hand corner. What a super pass from Wharton in behind.
That St. Louis FC goal delivered by Domino's, and it's no wonder that it's Tyler Blackwood, who joined St. Louis FC last August and scored 6 goals in 13 appearances. He has one in 60 seconds in 2020.
That's the dangers that Coach Tritcher was talking about in his depth. He can play players in different places. He talked about Tyler Blackwood being one of those players that can play anywhere across the front line. Put him in up front, and within minutes of his entry, he's on the scoreboard.
Miami now forced to stretch themselves with just 13 minutes left.
In their 77th minute, Blackwood from Morrison.
It was really only a matter of time for St. Louis. 17 shots in the game, including 8 here in the second half.
Well, Miami has done a great job in the second half of making good decisions in possession, but that was just a quick strike from St. Louis, from the man that just came on.
Sadie got his cross in, and Williams nearly followed Morton's mistake with an answer.
Not sure what Morton was thinking right there. Looked like he was going to punch, and then he was going to catch, and it turned out to be a punch catch.
It looked like Williams had all 8 yards of the goal to aim at, and it appears he missed all 8 of them.
Again, dangerous ball into the box from Sadie. He's been a bright spot for Miami tonight.
He just tried to ricochet it off of his thigh. He couldn't get the right trajectory. Go time for Miami. Sadie couldn't grab that one. He's had a good game tonight. Prince Sadie, the man who joined the Miami FC after playing in the National Independent Soccer Association in the fall with Atlanta SC.
Yes, Miami having it now to pick up the pace, being 2 down. Only 10 minutes and change to go. St. Louis pushing up and putting the pressure on Miami, not allowing them space to play through.
Well, one thing is certain, regardless of the outcome tonight, we've already learned a lot about Miami. You know what this man is capable of. Sadie, who drew the penalty that led to the first goal for Miami in their history here in the USL Championship. James trying to track it down. Gagnon Laparé kept it in play for a moment, but it did sail out of bounds. We'll see another Cigna sub with Kadeem Dakers ready to check in for more Sam, who also showcased some speed down the right flank in his own right.
Good job from Sam tonight. Did his job on both sides of the ball. Coach Trichu just looking for some energy, especially defensively here in the last 9 minutes of this game.
Dakers, who's been at the club since 2018, made 33 appearances last year, certainly a staple. Sam looks to be a new addition to the club that the Luligans can get behind.
See how he's going to impress himself in this game.
Velasquez was fouled.
Miami with a free kick here in a dangerous position. St. Louis have to be focused and alert. Granito standing over it. He's done well since coming into the game at the half.
Certainly has provided the spark Miami was looking for. They just haven't had the finishing touch here in the second half. A lot of blue bodies forward. Granito with a good cross. Not fully cleared. A bad pass that was intended for Velasquez, who was zagging when the pass was zigging. And here comes St. Louis. Free and clear. Cicerone on his left. He skied it.
Great ball across by Dakers to Cicerone. He had the goal gaping. Just got underneath it, took his eyes off it the last second and sailed it over the crossbar. But a great counter from St. Louis. Quick move through the midfield. Got the ball across the field again, changing the point of attack. Just couldn't finish it off at the end.
The second Cigna sub for St. Louis is Miguel Gonzales, the Mexican, who comes on in place of Othello Ba.
Gonzales chomping at the bit to get on the field. Another player that I've known very well when he played for the Switchbacks. Had the opportunity to coach him for a couple years and know that he's definitely going to add some energy, a lot of craftiness and technique at the top of the box, and he's a goal scorer as well, so look for him to get on the end of things if given the opportunity.
Williams wants to go quick. Sadie always wants to go quick, and again he's tripped up. That'll be a yellow card for Paris G.
Now that's a challenge when defending Sadie. He's going to go at you with speed, and G just got his feet caught up underneath him there and tied him up, make sure that he doesn't get down the line. Unfortunately, receiving a yellow card as a consequence.
One thing that we've learned about Miami tonight is that they're certainly here to play, and so far they have lacked the finishing touch, but as soon as they settled into this game, which took a little bit longer than I think some of them on the field actually wanted it to take, once they settled, they were neck and neck, and they went toe-to-toe with a team that last year started strong and looks to be pretty good this year as well.
Yeah, I think they came out with a different mentality in the second half and imposed their will on the game.
Bezecourt whips it in.
Obviously, creating more chances is something that Coach Vargas is going to work on in the week, and obviously finishing as well. But definitely a better mentality in the second half from Miami.
They have a stout supporters group over in Dade County called the Dade Brigade. You're watching this from Wynwood Brewing, their watch party, and their team's first appearance in the championship.
Looks like Miami's gone to 3 in the back here, pushing
Backheel
more people
flick.
forward.
Sadie needs options, has them, takes it on himself. Now Sadie gets a cross in, and it's deflected out by Kavita.
He's certainly a handful 1v1. Speed, skill going down the line, and obviously crossing. So Miami need to get more numbers in the box, especially when he has the ball at the top of the box in wide positions.
Coach Vargas really high on Prince Sadie. We can see why so far tonight. Here's Heath, a lot of corners for Miami. This one is gobbled up by Morton.
It's the second service that came into the box from a corner from Heath, and suppose challenges for St. Louis. Morton up to the bill.
Another giveaway. Williams lays it off. And a missed kick by Umar.
Great
We'll
hold
give
up.
it another corner.
Great hold up play from Williams, but as you see him bent over there, it looks like he's in a bit of pain. Might have tweaked something. As we look at Joaquin Rivas, looking like he's getting ready to enter the field.
Bezecourt, left-footed in-swinger, and Morton comes out without anybody to greet him. He'll spring forward. St. Louis. No sense in going too quickly unless you've got an opening.
Blackwood onside right there, just couldn't bring down the ball quick enough. Gets
There
a
he
second
is.
chomp at it.
Blackwood lays it off. Why? Should have just put it right on target, and instead there was a whistle for offside, so that goal would not have counted. The game is wide open.
End-to-end action here.
Prince Sadie shakes and bakes on his left foot, and Morton was ready for it. Williams just couldn't tap his toe to it.
Again, Prince Sadie has no problem beating his man down the line. It's really all about the numbers in the box. Miami only having Williams up at the top to get on the end of Sadie's crosses.
Blackwood gets to the middle, multiplies his options. Lays it back, and Silvestre can handle that comfortably.
Easy shot to collect there, Silvestre. Shot from about 25 yards out. Not much power on it.
Nice flick up ahead, Silvestre there again. At the time it was Umar.
As Miami push more numbers forward and look to get one back, they're allowing spaces in the wide positions in between the midfield line and the defensive line.
This game started with a pair of St. Louis goals early. 10 minutes in, it was Kyle Gregg on a mistake by Lloyd Sam.
G there just trying to get Cicerone on the ball over the top.
After that 10th minute goal, it was 10 minutes later that Russell Cicerone got his. A mistake by Silvestre on a routine goal kick. He tapped the ball with his foot, not allowed to touch it again after that, so when he did touch it again to keep St. Louis from scoring on the spot there, it resulted in an indirect free kick. 7 yards from the goal, Cicerone smashed it home 2-0, but then Miami came back and they showed life. They got a goal thanks to Prince Sadie's drawn penalty in the box from his speed. Mario Williams put it home comfortably. It was 2-1 at the half, and Miami came out hot in the second half as well. Had a couple of chances to tie it. A nice feed from Sadie. Bezecourt can't do anything with it, or rather Granito.
Yeah, they came out hot and put...
Rivas will be our final Cigna sub of the night. He'll replace Vol Fall. Joaquin Rivas, born in El Salvador from Las Vegas, he'll come in.
Yeah, Miami did come out hot in the second half and had a lot of possession. Had a couple of passes, good penetrating passes, but very little in terms of creating chances, good goal-scoring chances up front. St. Louis doing a good job of shadowing things and making sure that any half chances didn't go towards the goal.
Our 4 minutes of stoppage time presented by Paycor. Need more time in your business? Contact Paycor to handle your payroll and human resources needs. Yes, that. For Miami next week, they come home and play their first home game in the championship, and it's a tough task. They get Tampa Bay, the Rowdies, who picked up a 1-0 victory on the road earlier today against New York Red Bulls 2. Rowdies have been a powerhouse in the East for quite some time. Miami looking to build off of what was an encouraging effort, but a disappointing result.
There's a sub, Miguel Gonzales on the ball. He's dangerous coming forward.
Gonzales just over the head of Williams. Meanwhile, for St. Louis, let's move on. Here's a break. Blackwood looking into the middle. Rivas lays it off, and Cicerone puts it home. 2 for number 9, and it's a 4-1 rout.
Again, the sub Blackwood making an impact on the game, turning his man at the midfield line, pushing forward. Griffiths couldn't keep up with him, sending in a great cross across the box. Cicerone getting on the end of it and picking his spot at the far post. 4-1, St. Louis.
That St. Louis FC goal delivered by Domino's, served on a platter by Rivas. And St. Louis has been just too much for Miami to handle tonight.
Great first-time shot from Cicerone.
St. Louis will actually get next week off. Their next matchup doesn't, or I beg your pardon, I should say, they go on the road next week. Remember, we were talking at halftime, Wolde, about who's in goal for Memphis, that being Tim Howard. That's who St. Louis has. Tim Howard gave up 4 goals to Indy 11 after Memphis held a 2-0 lead in the first half. St. Louis has put up 4 here tonight. Should be an intriguing matchup to follow. That comes your way next week on ESPN Plus at 8 o'clock Eastern Time.
Yes, St. Louis taking advantage of a Miami team that's looking to push forward and try to get themselves back into the game. Get 2 great opportunities and just extended their lead.
Coming up tonight, actually, you can turn the dial in about 40 seconds. San Diego Loyal in their first game in the championship, taking on Las Vegas Lights FC, the debut of Landon Donovan as a head coach. I'm going to ask you your thoughts on that in just a second, but first I want to remind you to stay up to date with news and highlights from across the USL Championship and League One by downloading the official league app today. Search United Soccer League or USL in the App Store or in Google Play and download today to enjoy news, giveaways, competitions, and more. We'll get your thoughts on that in just a second, because in just a moment, John Freeman is going to look at his watch, and when he does, he'll blow the whistle for the end of the game. It's a 4-1 St. Louis victory, turning into an emphatic one at that. And originally, tonight's man of the match, presented by Pleats Cleaners, was going to be Russell Cicerone, and then he scored a second goal, so he's still our Pleats man of the match, as selected by our broadcast crew. Good job, gentlemen. You made the right choice. Follow St. Louis FC on Twitter to vote in the Pleats Man of the Match fan poll. That was his first goal, the indirect free kick. The second one more conventional.
Yeah, Cicerone played both sides of the ball tonight. Complete game for him. The goals are just the icing on the cake, but he definitely had the mentality to go out there and impose his will on the game, and well-deserved man of the match.
It's a 4-1 victory. And that takes us to our conclusion. Here from West Community Bank Stadium for Wolde Harris, I'm Spencer Siegel. Thanks for joining us tonight. St. Louis with an emphatic win. Highlights coming your way next.
This year we developed Ale d'Or, which is a beer brewed exclusively for the St. Louis Football Club. We've been partners with STLC for coming up on 3 years now. St. Louis Football Club got some Schlafly, call out our Luligan friends on the side. You'll be able to find Ale d'Or obviously out at Soccer Park and then at your local grocery in and around St. Louis, so we're really excited to get it out there in the market. We're excited to debut it in 16-ounce cans for the upcoming season.
When you need quality electrical work for your home or business, look to the electricalconnection.org. Created as a partnership between IBEW Local 1 electricians and the St. Louis chapter of the National Electrical Contractors Association, the Electrical Connection has been setting the standard for electrical excellence in St. Louis for over 100 years. You can depend on our highly skilled and trained workforce, your #1 source for quality electrical and communication contractors, electricalconnection.org.
Edward Jones presents tonight's final score, 4-1, St. Louis FC over the Miami FC. In Fenton, Missouri, back with you, Spencer Siegel, Wolde Harris. Take a look at the highlights from this one. 3 goals coming in the first half, a couple more in the second half. Let's start, though, in half number 1, where St. Louis got out to an early lead, thanks in part to a couple of mistakes.
Yeah, poor pass back here, poor decision pass by Sam, and the ever-present Greg in the box, picking it off, rounding the keeper, open net, tucks it away.
That was 1-0, 10 minutes into the game. Brian Silvestre was all over the place. The goalkeeper couldn't save that one, though. But this time he made a mistake. Can't touch the ball twice. He does. That means an indirect free kick. Russell Cicerone has no problem putting that home from 7 yards out. That was just the first of 2 for him.
Yes, made no bones about it. Just putting his foot through it. And up in the back of the net.
Cicerone gets the goal, makes it 2-0, but then Prince Sadie, with about 2 minutes left in the first half, makes this run, draws the penalty. Romario Williams knows what to do with it.
Yeah, great penalty from Romario Williams, down to the keeper's right, low and hard into the side netting. Pulls Miami back at the half, 2-1.
Williams makes a game of it, and then Miami came out hot in the second half. They really had their opportunities early. Unfortunately, though, for them, St. Louis took advantage as soon as Tyler Blackwood came into the game. This is no more than 60 seconds after he came in, and he makes Miami pay.
Talk about a super sub. Can't give him that time and space. Tyler Blackwood making him pay.
Well, 1-2 action that time from Todd Wharton. Comes up with the clinching goal, and then just for good measure in the end, Cicerone, who was already our man of the match, he gives you one more just to make sure that the fans go home happy, although you see that's the knockout punch right there from Blackwood to make it 3-1. Cicerone, though, the first one was unconventional. This one looked pretty good.
Here, Tyler Blackwood beating his man to the spot. Joaquin just laying it on the platter for Cicerone.
Silvestre thought he could do better with it. You see the layoff from Rivas here. And Cicerone's 2 goals will put him right at the top of the USL leaderboard in goals scored in week 1. We'll take a look at the final stats from this one. Miami actually held the ball 62% of the time in the second half, and they ultimately win the possession game, but look at the amount of shots.
Yeah, St. Louis just creating a lot more chances, especially on the break and down the flanks, and obviously they were able to tuck them away. Miami still has some work to do.
Well, don't forget, you can check out the USL on ESPN News right now with Mike Watson, Devin Kerr at San Diego Loyal and Las Vegas Lights FC, the debut of head coach Landon Donovan for San Diego. Boldy Harris, appreciate you, my friend. We're going to take a little break until next week here. St. Louis gets the win tonight. We sign off from West Community Bank Stadium. I'm Spencer Siegel. Thanks for joining us tonight. Final score, St. Louis 4, Miami FC 1.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League Championship cannot be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the expressed written consent of the United Soccer League Championship.